We are kicking off with Smackdown as Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul were involved in a confrontation just 24 hours before their WWE title match at King and Queen of the Ring. Rhodes accused the Maverick, whose US title won't be on the line, of being a fraud and a YouTuber cosplaying as a megastar, and brought up Paul's use of the brass knucks. During a fan event appearance in Jeddah, Paul handed over his brass knuckles to Michael Cole, but Rhodes was confident that the cocky superstar will have another set of knucks on him. The US champion denied the notion, saying he's a lot of things but he isn't a liar, and reiterated that Cole has the weapon he used last November to win the US title. When Rhodes offered Paul a chance to prove himself by having a referee come out to frisk the Maverick, Logan was hesitant and said that Rhodes should be searched first. That search came out clean for the American Nightmare, but when the referee searched Paul, he found brass knuckles in his pockets, though Paul denied they were his. Instead, Logan claimed that he was wearing his brother's pants and claimed that he doesn't need the weapon to prove he's better than Cody Rhodes. Paul added that the WWE title is everything he's ever wanted, but it was Rhodes who had the final word, vowing to beat Paul so badly he'll regret ever stepping in the ring with him. Cody Rhodes had plenty to say on SmackDown, but also competed after the show went off the air, as he teamed with Sami Zayn to defeat Alpha Academy in a dark match. The undisputed WWE champion would have plenty of fun in the match, and in a character-breaking moment, would hit the Worm, a move that's used by Otis. This got a huge pop from the crowd, and while Rhodes had fun in this match against Chad Gable and Otis, he'll be all business today when he faces Logan Paul. After this dark match, Sami Zayn grabbed the mic and cut a promo in Arabic to the crowd in Jeddah, saying he's honored to be competing in the country. Zayn added that he's also proud to be the first Muslim and first Arab person to hold the Intercontinental Championship, and said he was a champion for the fans. This, unsurprisingly, got a pop from the fans, and we'll have to see if Zayn can retain his gold when he faces Bronson Reed and Chad Gable later today. Since the post-WrestleMania Raw, the WWE Universe has been captivated by the QR code mystery that has seen glitches and codes appear every week on TV. On WWE SmackDown from the Jeddah Superdome, another QR code flashed on the screen, and when scanned, it directed viewers to a webpage filled with cryptic buttons. Each button pressed revealed an ominous message, and when fans clicked on The Prodigal Son, the message they saw read, "I know it's you. On your way back home, the hare shall light your path. I will be waiting on the other side." For weeks, it's been believed that Uncle Howdy will be returning and is the one behind these messages, and this message could be a sign as to who his first target will be. After all, when it comes to a prodigal son in wrestling, somebody who left only to come back as a bigger name, the name that springs to mind is undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Recent developments have suggested that Uncle Howdy's arrival could happen at WWE King and Queen of the Ring, where Rhodes is scheduled to defend his title against Logan Paul. But what are your thoughts on the latest QR code from SmackDown? Do you think Cody Rhodes will indeed be the first target of Uncle Howdy? Share your thoughts in the comments. SmackDown also saw the continuation of the King of the Ring tournament as Tonga faced Randy Orton in the semifinals. This was arguably the biggest match of Tonga's young career in WWE so far, but in an interesting move, he was crawling on the entrance ramp before standing up and walking to the ring. Fans were certainly surprised by this turn of events by Tonga, and perhaps it was Tonga's way of mocking Randy Orton, who is often slithering in the ring, ready to pounce for a big move. Tonga was joined by Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa for his match with the Legend Killer, after Tonga had promised that a new king would be coming to the Bloodline in a backstage promo. Tonga may be tough, but Orton had the height, weight, and experience advantage, and he acquired the upper hand and kept it until Tonga clipped his knee at ringside. The match slowed down significantly when Tonga kept the Viper in a sleeper hold for a long time, but once he broke the hold, the former world champion began picking up steam. Orton got the win with an RKO as a mildly impressed Gunther watched from the crowd, and these two will do battle today in the King of the Ring finals. Before Orton could celebrate for too long though, Solo Sikoa attacked him after the bell, and this beatdown would bring out the returning Kevin Owens. In his first appearance since Backlash France, Owens brought the fight to Sikoa, who evaded a stunner and escaped, and Owens raised Orton's hand as they stood tall to close out the show. Orton has certainly been on a roll as of late on SmackDown, and advanced to the semifinals last week with a victory over Carmelo Hayes. On social media, WWE shared footage of Orton hitting Hayes with the RKO and brought attention to the fact that the Viper made sure that his wedding ring didn't slip off his finger. On Instagram, Kim Orton, Randy's wife, shared the footage as Mrs. Legend Killer was pleased to see her husband take good care of the ring that symbolizes their union. Back to this week's SmackDown, and the action didn't stop after the show, as in a dark match segment, Orton and Kevin Owens challenged Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga to a Saudi street fight. The faces brought the offense quickly on the bloodline, but as the chaos grew too great, the match was called off by official Jessica Carr. That decision did little to stop the action as Sikoa introduced a chair into the proceedings, but he would be the victim of the stunner that Owens tried to hit during the TV broadcast. Now Orton will move on to the King of the Ring finals, but with his ongoing war with the bloodline, he may have to watch out for more than just Gunther in the upcoming match. This week it was announced that SummerSlam 2026 will be coming to the US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and for the first time in history, it will be a two-night event. This comes after rumors that Minneapolis would be hosting WrestleMania 41, but that event will be instead in Las Vegas, and why has the biggest party of the summer gotten even bigger? In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, one reason behind WWE's decision is that they want to mirror the size and scale of WrestleMania in North America. That means instead of WrestleMania going overseas, WWE could take SummerSlam to London or Saudi Arabia and still give fans a two-night event chock full of superstars. SummerSlam 2026 will be WWE's first SummerSlam in Minneapolis since 1999, and while it'll be the first two-night edition of SummerSlam, odds are it won't be the last. As we reported earlier this week, WWE recently laid off several long-standing employees, including the likes of Kristen Prouty, Tavia Hartley, and others. Naturally, fans have been left wondering if more cuts would be coming, and in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it said that there are expectations that more cuts will happen. These cuts are expected to only affect WWE's offices and not the roster, and while no announcement's been made, it's expected that the live events department will be decimated. That's because TKO Group Holdings is merging the live events departments of WWE and UFC into one group, leading to potential layoffs due to job duplication. Peter Dropick, who has served as the EVP of Event Development and Operations for UFC since 2006, will oversee the new team, and we'll have to see who is left without a job very soon. Back to SmackDown now, as this was the first episode of the Blue Brand ever held in Saudi Arabia, and unfortunately there were some technical issues with the broadcast. During a post-match segment with Bianca Belair, she had an interaction with Indi Hartwell and Candice LeRae, but audio issues meant whatever they were saying was very muddled. The same issues affected a backstage interaction with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, and it's unclear what exactly was the reason for these issues. Fans watching at home were far from happy, especially given that SmackDown aired in the US on a tape delay due to the difference in time zones between the US and Saudi Arabia. Many fans believed that WWE should have fixed the issues before it broadcast in the States, and hopefully WWE won't have issues like this during the King and Queen of the Ring event. The Queen of the Ring tournament continued on SmackDown as Bianca Belair faced Nia Jax, and in something of an upset, it was Jax who advanced with a win over the EST. Belair was nursing an injured leg in the match, one that Jax was happy to take advantage of as she repeatedly attacked the injured knee of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champion. After the loss, Belair couldn't move by herself and referees checked on her knee, while Jax, who will face Lyra Valkyria in the finals, cut a promo about having beaten her. After the bout, Belair was seen icing her knee backstage, but was confronted by Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell. The two mocked Belair for her loss, which is quite a choice given that LeRae was eliminated by Belair in under 3 minutes in the first round, and Hartwell didn't even get in the tournament. Nevertheless, the pair mocked Belair until Jade Cargill arrived, and they backed off, and Cargill told Belair that she'd speak to Nick Aldis about this. On Raw, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler earned a title shot at Belair and Cargill, but it seems like the women's tag champions have set their sights on Hartwell and LeRae. It's since been confirmed that the champs will defend against Hartwell and LeRae on the King and Queen of the Ring kickoff show later today. Normally, one would give the advantage to the champions, but with Belair's knee in the state it's in, it's entirely possible that LeRae and Hartwell could win the gold today. More from the King of the Ring tournament now, as during the entrance of Tama Tonga, Wade Barrett had some choice words regarding a world-renowned soccer team. Manchester United are one of the most successful teams in the world, but as of late their performance has been poor, with many believing manager Erik ten Hag should be fired. Another manager whose job is seemingly at risk is Paul Heyman, as he has clearly been conflicted with the new direction of the bloodline without Roman Reigns around. On Smackdown, Barrett said that Heyman is like Erik ten Hag in that he's still got a job, but for how much longer, amid reports Man U will sack Hag regardless of what comes next. Heyman has tried to be loyal to Solo Sikoa, but it seems each week he gets closer to being expelled from the bloodline, as the future remains uncertain for the WWE Hall of Famer. When Carmelo Hayes was drafted to Smackdown, expectations were high, and in his first night as a Blue Brand performer, he went toe-to-toe with Cody Rhodes. While Rhodes would win the match, the fact that Hayes was involved left fans feeling positive despite his loss, but this week's Smackdown showed a worrying trend for the ex-NXT star. On the show, Hayes teamed with WWE Tag Team Champions A-Town Down Under, but the group came up short against LA Knight and the Street Profits. Hayes is now 1-3 on SmackDown, hardly a great record for the former NXT champion, and it remains to be seen if Hayes can turn his fortunes around on the main roster. On SmackDown, Bayley competed against Chelsea Green and put the former tag champion away in a few minutes, but she didn't anticipate what would come next. In a post-match assault, Piper Niven leveled the WWE Women's Champion with a splash, and despite Bayley's efforts to fight back, a slam by Niven proved to be unbeatable. Niven then hit 3 sentons on the role model to send a message before walking away, and this could all be leading to a feud between Bayley and Niven for the title. Depending on whether Nia Jax wins the Queen of the Ring, Bayley may have not one, but 2 powerhouses coming for her title, stacking the odds greatly against the WWE Women's Champion. Later today, WWE will host its King and Queen of the Ring event, and the Super Show in Saudi Arabia will feature a notable celebrity guest. It's been confirmed that actor Ibrahim Al-Hajjaj will be a part of the show, and fans may remember him for his appearance at Crown Jewel in 2023. Al-Hajjaj was part of Miz TV, which was later interrupted by Grayson Waller, and after delivering a people's elbow to the Aussie icon last time, who knows what the actor has in store today. At AEW Revolution, Darby Allin teamed with Sting to face the Young Bucks in what would be the final ever match of the Icon, and a brutal match at that. One of the most talked about and grueling sights was Darby Allin diving off the ladder and landing on a glass table, which shattered and severely hurt the former TNT champion. Sitting down with Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, Allin shared that immediately after the spot, a referee checked up on him, and Allin told him that he was feeling good despite the spot. The referee had a much different assessment, however, as he noticed that Allin had a hole in his side due to the spot, but Darby was Allin to make it through his remaining big spot. Allin only recently returned to AEW TV and will be part of Anarchy in the Arena this weekend, despite not fully being healed from a foot injury he suffered on the Big Business Dynamite. Between this injury, a hole in his side, and recently being hit by a bus in New York, Allin is hardly in one piece, but that won't stop him from giving his all at Double or Nothing. This weekend, Mercedes Mone will make her AEW in-ring debut when she challenges TBS champion Willow Nightingale in a match many see as a year in the making. The match will be Mone's first bout in a major American promotion since her WWE tenure ended in 2022, and this week, the former Sasha Banks reflected on her WWE exit. Speaking to The Ringer, Mone admitted that it sometimes felt like she was handcuffed in WWE, as she explained, "I don't like being handcuffed. The only place to grow is with change, and I needed that change. My mission statement is to make women's wrestling globalized here in AEW, and I want to accomplish so many things here. I want to wrestle the best." Handcuffed or not, Mone accomplished plenty in WWE, as well as during her time since leaving, which led to some bold words by the former women's champion to the fans. She said, "They haven't really gotten to see the CEO. They know who Sasha Banks is, but the CEO, Mercedes Mone, is something they've never seen before, and I'm ready to show them. I'm the greatest women's wrestler of all time, 100%. Expectations are indeed high for Mone's debut match, with some believing it could headline Double or Nothing, and if so, it'd be AEW's first women's pay-per-view main event. But what do you make of what she had to say? Was Sasha Banks handcuffed during her WWE run? Sound off in the comments. Mone is just one of many high-profile stars on the AEW roster, but with such a big roster working for Tony Khan, not everyone is guaranteed TV time. While names like Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Tony Storm, and Swerve Strickland appear regularly, there's plenty of AEW talent who've spent much of their runs watching Backstage. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it is reported that AEW talent are frustrated due to the size of the roster, which has led to a lack of ring time and exposure for many talent. The report adds that AEW has gone from the fun place to work with a great backstage camaraderie to a place with a lot of frustration. While AEW talent are able to make a good living for themselves, many are getting nowhere near the ring time they expected, nor are they experiencing the upward mobility that they'd hoped for. Compare this to WWE, where talent have gone from walking on eggshells with Vince McMahon to feeling more involved than ever before under the guidance of Triple H. With AEW contracts set to expire this year, it'll be interesting to see who stays and, more importantly, who feels they will have a better chance in the ring by not being all elite. But what do you make of this? Is AEW's roster too big for its own good? And what talent do you believe are being overlooked in AEW? Sound off in the comments section. At the first Marigold event, Giulia suffered a wrist injury, which comes at a very important time for her, but WWE are hopeful that she won't be out for long. WWE is still hoping that a women's title match against Roxanne Perez at NXT Heatwave on July 7th will happen, but Fightful Select reports that the match has not been close to being finalized. It was added that Perez's ongoing storyline with NXT general manager Ava will significantly influence Giulia's introduction to NXT TV, so we'll have to see when she makes it to WWE. And we're ending today with Beth Phoenix, who for years dominated WWE's women's division, but this week, the WWE Hall of Famer showed off a dramatic new look. With a wolf cut and baddie bangs, Phoenix is comfortable in her post-ring days, but as we've seen in the past, don't rule out a return from the Glamazon.